Enter into our 8,000 Christmas gem giveaway by downloading Raid, Shadow Legends, and Summoner's War and beating their tutorials. Enter into it in the description down below. Hello everybody, we are here with your Bacchus guide. Just in time for the old Grish mash, so we're going to be getting our Guardian's Blessing, our tier 1 boots, 4 health potions, a Hand of the Gods. This is the standard start right now for support, and we're going to be staying in the base just to make sure we fill up our Drunko meter, and we're not going to leave base until it's a little bit closer to the time for us, so we can maximize how much we are smashed by the time we get to lane. For our first ability, we are also going to be grabbing our Belch. Belch is going to have slightly more damage than Flop, but more importantly, it's on a slightly lower cooldown, so we can use it right when we get ourselves over to the wave. So right here, we're going to leave just to make sure we're there in time. We're probably going to have to drink one more time, but that's fine. Only going to use 40 mana. This way, we're not just like sitting by the purple buff, using up all of our mana, just trying to drink our eggnog. Getting Flop at level 1 is also viable. It's not a huge deal on Bacchus. Whichever one you choose to get, it's a little bit down to personal preference. Sometimes, if you think you're gonna get like interrupted out of your Belch, sometimes it's better to get the Flop. So if you're going against somebody at like level 1 that's going to interrupt you, like maybe I think Danzo's going to get his taunt. I don't. I think he's probably going to have his one at level 1. But if I thought that like Danzo was going to get his taunt, then maybe I go ahead and get my Flop so I can get the damage off and he can't interrupt the channel. Now, I'm going to go in right away because I get an early level 2 off of this, and I'm just going to try to stun these boys and get as much damage as I can. I got to the wave really early, so I got an early 2 right there. So what you're gonna see is one of the primary problems with Bacchus, which is his mana consumption. So Bacchus wants to go in over and over. Good auto attacks from my Anher. He really wants to play aggressive. The problem is you use a lot of mana going in. So make sure you're not drinking until you're right back down to almost tipsy, and then drink yourself right back up to that smash. You don't want to press this too often. You're going to be getting about 40% on this meter every time you press it. So you don't want to use that too often. So only use it right when it gets down to tipsy, preferably. Now, as far as taking damage goes, you don't really mind about taking damage. You're just looking for opportunities where you can go in and get a little Belch combo with your knockup, and we're going to be able to grab ourselves a First Blood or First Blooded. That's what you're looking to do on Bacchus. You want to be a lane bully. Now, to maximize that lane bully, I try not to go in unless I have enough mana for both my Belch and my Flop. That way you can get the maximum efficacy and highest kill chance every time you're using that combo. If you just use one of the abilities, chances are you're not going to have enough follow-up in order to actually get the kill. So you're trying to wait for enough mana for both, and it can take a while. For our pairing with Bacchus over here in duo lane, Anher is a wonderful combination. You want an aggressive hunter. You don't want somebody that's going to be very passive in lane. You want somebody that is an aggressive early game damaging type of hunter. So Anher works great. Woojer also works really well. He's got a lot of pressure that he can throw out. Oh, we got to be careful right here because we're actually getting aggressed on. So I'm going to use my stun just to kind of zone out anybody from coming in on Anher, and then we can just head back and we can do our own purple buff. That was a good rotation from their mid laner, that new Wa. I'm going to back after this purple, so I don't mind flopping in. I'm going to get level 4. I can go ahead and back right on up and get my cool down boots. So we're going to back up. We're going to get our CDR boots. And we're also going to get a couple of wards, always making sure to use our drink when we are back in the fountain to top ourselves off before we head back out to the lane. So some people like to grab at level 4, the chug, but you can see it really doesn't do anything with you with a point into it. So I actually prefer to hold this point at level 4 on Bacchus, which you don't do on basically any other character in the game. I'm trying to think of anybody. So that way at level 5, I get a point in my ultimate, and I get myself another point in my flop. If you don't want to wait for the point in the flop, that's totally fine. You just put this as a second point into Belch right now. But I personally am going to wait for the flop because I'm going to get a lot of burst damage. I'm going to put out 2 defensive wards here for my ADC, and I'm going to come back in for a gank on left lane. I'm going to flop right onto Danza. I'm going to wait for the Athena to taunt before I start my Belch. That way I can have the AoE going. Unfortunately, I actually get taunted by the Danza 2 that was already on the floor. That is quite unfortunate. I don't have any peel up right now from my boy. Cuckoo has rotated over. I'm going to look for a stun right here. Not quite going to be able to get it. Good rotation from that Fenrir. They're having a lot of good jungle and mid rotations over to the duo lane right now. Our standard ability combo on Bacchus is going to be 1, make sure we're all the way maxed up on our passive bar. We're going to flop in, and then we're going to Belch them. Now that's going to be the standard combo because flop is your ranged closer. But if you can, preferably use Belch first for the stun and then use the knockup. The reason why this is more efficient is it's actually a longer form of CC. So if you flop and then burp, you're gonna get the DR on the stun for the burp. That means it's going to be less duration, about 33% less duration on the stun. So instead of being a 1-second stun, it's gonna be about 0.67 seconds. But there is no DR on flops. Flops apply diminishing returns, but they do not get affected by diminishing returns. So a flop will always be the exact same duration of CC. So if you stun and then flop, you can maximize that CC a little bit more. Now, I don't really want you to worry about it for the most part. At the end of the day, if you land both of these CCs, it should be enough to really wallywomp somebody. But in a perfect world, you should know that Belch flop, greater sign flop Belch. But right now, I see a Danza in my range. I'm flopping right on in on him. I'm trying to get immediately into the drunk right here. Unfortunately, there's a Fenrir here once again. I'm going to see if I can't try to put down this Danza with my Anhur before I go down. And that's still going to be a good trade for us as long as my Anhur can live right here. That is Fenrir ult down, Athena ult down. That was beads down on Danza. They used so much. Unfortunately, there's a new one here as well. We're just making so many friends right now. This is crazy. It's about time for me to also stop going back over to the duo lane. So I'm going to start heading over to the mid lane, make sure I get some wards out to help out my duo boy. But right about the time that you get your Guardian's Blessing finish is approximately the time that you're going to start considering rotating. Now, you don't have to rotate immediately. Sometimes your ADC is going to need more help. Sometimes your mid lane's going to need more help. Sometimes you're rotating all the way over to the solo lane. It's just going to depend on game to game. But as a general rule, just so you know kind of when you should be thinking about leaving that duo lane, right about the time that you have got your Guardian's Blessing finish, you're going to get that bonus GP5. And it's going to give you the opportunity to walk on around. For our second item, we're going into the very regular Gauntlet of Thebes. Gauntlet of Thebes still just one of the best support items in the game, particularly if you are not a physical support. Physical supports actually tend to not get Gauntlet of Thebes right now because they've got options like Sledge and Gladiator Shield and all this crazy stuff. But Guardians do not have those same options, so you tend to still get the Thebes. Now on Bacchus, on his passive, we're actually gaining damage mitigations. I'm gonna go in right here for this new see if we can't get some big cuckoo ult damage off. Unfortunate. Very close to landing. I'm actually going to come back to my Cuckoo. I'm going to hit him with the ulti. That should be a Dent Fenrir for that tornado, which makes it a 1-for-1 exchange right there. But they're doing a really good job of making sure that they've got their team group. They're doing a lot of threes. We're going to back up, get that Thebes as soon as you possibly can. I'm also going to buy a Sentry Ward. Now that I've got my Thebes online, my next concern is going to be ranking on my Shell for those block stacks. Back to Bacchus is passive. You get this 10% mitigation as long as you're smashed, and you really should be smashed all the time as Bacchus. That means that Bacchus scales really, really well with other percent mitigation items. So if you're looking for pure tankiness and nothing else, a Spirit Robe, Oni Hunter's Garb combination on Bacchus, because of the way that percent mitigation stack, makes him redonkulously tanky. Especially if you can get a fair amount of protections online with it. So that's going to kind of be our goal. We're going to go and get ourselves a little bit of CDR with that Spirit Robe, and we're going to get those percent mitigation stacking. Now for my third item this game, I'm going to get something that you actually don't see a whole lot on support, and that is going to be a Stone of Gaia. I'm a firm believer that Stone of Gaia is one of the best items in the game, and that supports right now and makes your life so much easier. It's basically like a jacked up version of Sovereignty. It's just like a better Sov, really. That was Athena ulti down. I'm gonna flop right in. I don't think it's gonna quite make it. It is actually gonna reach the Athena and the Danza. Unfortunately, I get taunted by, once again, that Danza on the floor. For those that haven't played against Danza a lot, his 2 is a taunt that you actually don't even have to hit the taunt on. If anybody walks in range of the ability afterwards when it's down on the floor, it will also taunt you. Very strong ability. In fact, the best ability in his kit. So right now, I'm just running around with my mid laner. Kukulkan is a good combination with Bacchus. On Bacchus, in the laning phase, we talked about it. You're looking for an aggressive duo lane partner, the Anhurs and the Ullers. For your team, you're looking for somebody that can follow up on your damage. So in the mid lane, a Kukulkan is great. In the solo lane, a Chang'e is great. If I go in and I get a big multi-person flop, then she can easily follow up with a multi-person stun. This is the type of stuff that you are looking for. Man, they are always around right now where we are. Thanatos wants to go in, so I'm going to start pressuring forward as well. Looks like he wants to land at somebody. It's a little bit greedy for him to go in right here, but that's okay. The huge Cuckoo ulti is going to come out, and we're going to be able to grab that kill. I'm going to put a deep ward over here on their red buff. See if that is up. It is up, actually, so I'm going to ping this for the team to know. While I'm going over here, I'm going to throw down a little ward onto the purple buff, and I'm going to start checking out this red. I'm going to flop right onto the Fenrir as their Brutalize is ending. Unfortunately, it looks like that last tick of it is actually going to grab that red buff. I'm going to try to block off this Athena as much as I can. Not going to be able to kill anybody here or get the red buff, but we did go for the attempt. Now we should be able to just go right on back to our red buff. I'm going to flop over the wall, play it safe. So I'm ranking up that Shell next, and then I'm going to start working into that Stone of Gaia. Stone of Gaia is also going to give us some nice regen, just to make sure from the HP 5 and MP 5 that we're always tapped up, which is especially nice for Bacchus because you got to constantly be pressing your 1, especially as we get later into the game. We're going to be pressing it more and more often because we're going to start using the 1 in combat as well for the stats that it gives us, particularly those protections. And so we'll start to burn through a little bit more mana because instead of waiting to be topping ourselves off with the 1, we're going to be using it proactively just in combat. Gonna try to flop right over that new WAD 3. We actually are going to time that perfectly so I don't get hit by any of that. Now I'm going to back it right on up. Make sure every time that you're backing, you're buying a Sentry Ward if at all possible. So I'm going to look at the tier 2 item for Stone of Gaia. Finding it, 1,400 gold, fantastic. Got my Shell ranked up. Tier 2 Stone of Gaia and a Sentry Ward. Now, if you do not feel comfortable buying a Stone of Gaia on support, you can buy a Sovereignty here. It is similar in nature. It's going to provide the HP 5. Sovereignty a little bit more team oriented. If a team is rocking 4 or dare I say 5 physicals, then most definitely grab themselves the sovereignty. If a team is running the standard 3 physicals, 2 magicals, I find that sovereignty's good and the HP 5 is nice for your team.
What terrible weather we're having.
But that in general, the Stone of Gaia just provides so much more opportunities for you. Ooh. Gonna put down a sentry ward right here. They did have that warded. Gonna be able to steal this camp. So now on Bacchus, all I'm looking to do is initiate for my Cuckoo over and over and over and over again. I am constantly on the look for flopping on anybody, burping on anybody. I am playing forward, and I am sacrificing my body to set up my team. I see a Danza over here. I'm gonna flop right on in. Chunga's gonna get a combo, and we're gonna put him down right away. If we can get ourselves over to the Gold Fury, what a good Cuckoo ulti. I'm peeling back for my Thanatos. I'm trying to get back to him. He's just not in range right now. I'm gonna ulti this guy, so that way he's drunk. I'm gonna go for the burp, and then the flop to maximize that CC duration, and we're gonna be able to grab that kill. We should still be heading ourselves over to the Gold Fury. So right there, I initiate on that fight, but I am also our peel for the team. So right after I am done initiating, I start peeling back to the backline. This is not just a Bacchus strategy for support. This is how support works in Smite right now, particularly. Wow, she got the Gold Fury. What a good Athena still. Particularly if you don't have a lot of frontline characters. So on this team, we're actually a very squishy team for this meta. Normally you're gonna see 2, 3 frontline. I am our only true frontline. We've got a Changa over in solo, so she's a bit more squishy. We've got a Thanatos in the jungle, so he's a bit more squishy. So my job is to initiate, and the second that I'm done initiating, I've got to back it up and start peeling. I am responsible for both of this game. I think Nuwa is going to be right around this wall, so I'm going to jump over for him. My hand going to land right on top of him. Going to stun him inside of his mist, and I'm going to keep on chasing him. He's going to get, oh, just barely not smacked by that. But we're going to be able to grab a quick kill and then head back out to the Pyromancer. Always, always, always looking for aggressive opportunities. Bacchus is one of the tankier by default Guardians in the game. We just cannot catch a break with the objectives right now. That's okay. I'm gonna go ahead and throw down that ulti. Just looking back at Athena right now. I'm gonna flop myself in, try to get as many as I can. Chasing down on this Cucullin. See if I can't try to body block him off. Not gonna be able to get in front of him, so we just gotta be a little bit careful. One thing that could be noted right now to help with our objective secure, our Cucullin is using a lot. I'm gonna head over to my Chang'e by jumping over this wall to make sure he doesn't get aggressed upon. Our Cucullin is using a lot of ultis right before we're going to do an objective. So if he's not confident in securing with his 3-1 combo, then he can go ahead and save that that ultimate for the objective secure. For the second act of this game, we're gonna look at their team. They don't have anything too crazy. We don't need a curse donk, anything like that. We can grab a Thorns here to give ourselves some reflect damage, and that would be nice. But for my team this game, we've got a very aggressive team. We've got a lot of damage, so I'm going to give us the Heavenly Agility to really enable us to be able to gas pedal. This is less about them having a bunch of slows or anything that I'm worried about, and more about me wanting to make sure that our entire team can just absolutely W key right at them, because a lot of our composition is based around the fact that we just go up right up in their business. For our next item in this game, I'm going to be taking myself into a Pridven. Pridven is going to give me that 20% CDR, so I've got 30% combined with my cooldown boots. And it's going to give me the opportunity to initiate a lot more. One of Bacchus's big problems, and one of the reasons why he's not meta right now, it's not that he has a bad kit, because Bacchus actually does have a pretty good kit. It's that his cooldowns are so long, and his early game mana cost for clearing the wave is so high. You saw me struggle with the early mana consumption over in the dual lane. Now that nowadays, now I got the Stone of Gaia and stuff, my mana consumption isn't that big of a problem. It did counter ward my ward over on fire. But now my cooldowns, I mean, 14 seconds is a long cooldown for an ability in Smite. Now, to be fair, Flop is an amazing ability, but regardless, it means that when you're going in on Bacchus, you really, really need to be hitting your abilities. If you miss a Flop on Bacchus, it's basically like missing a pluck on Sobek, where you sit there awkwardly in the middle of their entire team, and you're really scared you're gonna get turned on and die. Luckily, Bacchus has those percent mitigations, which makes it a little bit easier. Athena actually dashes in on this, so I'm just gonna send him immediately into the Flop. She is the tank, but we should be able to just grab this kill. Now I'm gonna start running into the backline, throw down a Heavenly Agility for my team. We immediately get that kill, keeping an eye back here for the Kukulkan. I'm gonna throw down a Shell, start getting that stun out, and call for that Fire Giant. They do have this warded, but they've only got a Fenrir and a Nuwa up. I should be able to tank, as long as we get our Chang'e over here to start healing me up. We should be fine. Got those bonus mitigations. Chang'e healing is starting to come out. Now I'm gonna start looking around for the zone just in case somebody is coming. Nobody comes in, and we grab ourselves a free Fire Giant after that fight. So you can kind of see how in the fight I'm whipping back and forth. I'm like, okay, look aggressive. Okay, look back. Okay, look aggressive. Okay, look back. I'm constantly looking at my backline, particularly my Anher and my Kukulkan this game. And I'm like, okay, are they almost dead? Are they getting aggressive? Is there somebody W-king at them? If there is, I'm trying to run back and peel for them. If not, I'm trying to set up as much damage for them as I can in the front line. It's the hard life of having to be both initiation and defense. Now, this isn't necessarily a situation you're always going to find yourself in on Bacchus. I would say that Bacchus in general is a better initiator than he is a peeler. So somebody like Geb is ridiculously good at peeling because of the fact that the ulti, the knockup, and the shield, and the slow, all really good peeling abilities. While he's good at initiation, the initiation really comes from the ulti too. So he's got like 2 potential initiation abilities and 4 potential defense abilities. For Bacchus, it's really the other way around. His Flop, his BURP, and his ulti are so good as initiation abilities. The ulti really isn't that great of a peel ability. The BURP is an okay peel ability, but it oftentimes takes too long to come out. And the Flop is a great peel ability still. So not quite as good as at peeling as he is at initiating.
On my way.
Starting to head over right lane because we can see the 3 people over there. I Thanatos ultis in quite a bit early on this. I'm going to start channeling my BURP just to make sure if they were going in for him right there that the stun would have been in range. We body blocked that Athena. Gonna pop the Heavenly Agility so we can start to gas pedal. I'm not even gonna be looking at the Athena right now. I'm just gonna be running down the line trying to reach whoever I can. My Pridvin is gonna slow both the Nuwa and the Kukulkan. I'm actually gonna stay in tower range to make sure that nobody else accidentally starts tanking it. And then we can reset off and grab the tower at the very end. We do have creeps pushing up through right, so we can continue to attack the right lane. I've got my shell up. I'm feeling confident. I need to get in range to start tanking this Phoenix. Chang'e's tanking it, but I've got a feeling she's gonna reset, so I'm gonna stand close to the Phoenix because that'll reset. When it resets, it'll go to the person that's standing closest. So I stand close to the Phoenix, and you can see it resets right to me. Now we should be careful right here. If Thana can kill the Fenrir, that is nice. But we do need to be a little bit careful. We need to just go ahead and back it on up. We need somebody to defend left lane. Danza's all the way over there. The rest of us can all shove mid.
Good luck.
Now that we're getting into the late stage item builds, my next item is going to be that Spirit Robe that we talked about for percent mitigations, and then the Oni Hunter's Garb. Percent mitigations are a lot better at the end of the game than the start of the game. People are just doing way more damage at the end of the game, so you're gonna be mitigating a lot more. Now our Anher is the one who backed. We really should have sent anybody else back except for our Anher. He is our main source of Phoenix damage, so sending him back is gonna put us into a little bit of a pickle. Just gonna tank this over to the side while keeping my eyes on our backline. Gonna reset it right on off. I see the new on the back line, just trying to zone everybody out that I can, using my burp to get in between them. We should be focusing that mid Phoenix and then resetting to left. I see my Chunga gets grabbed. I'm going to jump in, give him a little shell and an ulti to try to peel from him. We want to retreat and head straight over the left lane. Fire Giant is officially spawning in 1 minute, so it's going to spawn at 24:50. When the Fire Giant runs off of you, that means there is 1 minute left on that spawn timer. We should be able to grab this tier 2 and then attack the Fire Giant. We do not want to continue to push with it down. So we grab this T2, grab the last of this cash, go ahead and back your right on up. Should have enough for almost a Spirit Robe, which is great. Oh, I'm gonna get the whole thing. I've got a Sentry Ward ready. In this case, if I were to have enough money for a full Spirit Robe, but then I wouldn't be able to afford the Sentry Ward, do not buy the full Spirit Robe, buy the tier 2, and buy the Sentry Ward for yourself. You have to have vision around the Fire Giant, particularly Sentry Wards. So it's not even worth to finish the full item if you're not going to get the Sentry to place the vision around Fire. Now I'm going to get myself down a deep ward, all up in their business. I'm going to head back to the Fire Giant and I'm going to start tanking it immediately. We've got 2 Phoenixes down that they've got to deal with. If they want to push up towards this Fire Giant, they've got to let a lot of it go. Now they know that we are on the Fire Giant, so I'm going to start going in right at this Danza. He launched his rocket. I'm going to body block that, so he's not going anywhere. Cuckoo secures it with his ulti, and now this is actually a really good fight for us. Gonna throw down my ulti right now. It's gonna give me a little shield from the Pridman, stunning the Kukulkan, giving us a heavenly agility in the back. Pridman is gonna slow out the Kukulkan. I can see the Nuwa over the wall with my Anhur. He is going to be fine. Throwing down the stun here onto Kukulkan. Looking at the backline, there's a Fenrir potentially looking at my Chang'e, but he's actually gonna blink in right towards us, so he is now my new priority target. So I'm gonna start trying to focus on this Fenrir, chase him right on out, and we should be able to end the game off of this. We go right on down for the Titan. For the last item that we would have sold that Guardian's Blessing, it would have been the only Hunter's Garb. Great Banner-Sight there at the end. That would have given us a nice additional % mitigation, so we would have the up to 9% from that, plus the 10% from our passive, plus the additional potentially 15% from Spirit Robe. On top of our protections, we'd be taking absolutely no damage whatsoever. For the last item in that game, it is of course situational. Do you need an anti-heal item? Maybe I needed a Contagion or a Pestilence at some point during a match because they had more healing, and so I had to push back the rest of the build a little bit, and so we grabbed one of our items that we had already in the build to make up for the fact that we had to get a Pestilence or a Contagion earlier. Maybe they built a lot of crit, and so we need to get ourselves a spectral armor because they had a lot of crit damage online. Always keep these types of things in mind as a support guide. And of course, earlier we talked about the sovereignty or the heart ward if a team is running 4 or 5 of that same damage type. And that is our Bacchus support.